and welcome to the Capital Gang. I am Oskar Semweya Musoke. It is full house this morning, and people are settling down to Star Cafe goodies. Fonopondo is on his second chapati. Pardon? Star Cafe, thank you for powering the gang. Thank you for powering the gang. Honorable Biara Wepukubulo is in the studio. Tell me about your story. How did you get to stand down as a Deputy Speaker of Parliament prospect?
Well, thank you very much.
When you left the gang,
yes,
we were calling you Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament. And you went out there, but I did not even hear your name.
Yes.
At all.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Oskar. Good morning, listeners. I'm Emmanuel Biara Wepuhulu, the MP for Blambuli constituency. Yes. Where the mudslides, floods, all the climate change effects are devastating us in Bugiso, in the Elgon zone. Oskar, thank you very much. When I came and read to you my manifesto as to why I wanted to be the Deputy Speaker, you really blessed me and supported me. But no, he's a senior citizen, by the way.
So on to the matter.
Yes.
So what happened?
We went to Mukono. We were invited by my brother and a neighbor, Right Honorable Maxon Oboth at his home in Mukono. And
for the swearing-in celebration.
The Secretary General, Honorable Kawanda, my friend Daudi, came and pronounced.
Hold on, you're Secretary General of the opposition NRM or of the PLU?
He's the Secretary General of our sister association called PLU.
Right.
So he came and pronounced that Oboth, you are going to be the next Speaker of Parliament. And immediately in front of me, my sister, Lydia Wanyoto, the minister. Now, she also came and announced that since Oboth has taken over the position of speakership, she's also going to contest for deputy speakership. So that's for gender sensitive issues. Therefore, I looked at two candidates coming from the Elgon zone. It would look like we are either greedy or we don't know what we want or we are divided. And they were called upon by our cultural leader, the Umuguga. He called us to Mbale. Myself, I went, but Lydia was represented by the PA, by her PA. And we agreed, they said, since both is male, and we are thinking they'll appoint the deputy speaker to be female, looking at the trend, how it has been. Please step down for your elder sister. And the seniority she brings about. I accepted in good faith. But in 2031, I am there, and I'll be more prepared. Thank you very much.
Right. So you're most
Yes.
Yeah, most welcome.
Let me conclude with that. Later on, when they were also called in, she went ahead and expressed interest. We went to State House. They met the SEC committee.
No, she's here. I was going.
Yeah,
to
she's going to speak.
Yeah.
And they talked.
Don't worry.
Okay, she will answer.
Here.
Thank you very much. And congratulations to her, the new minister. I think it has been long overdue. And
thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much. I wish you blessings.
Good morning, Honorable Minister Lydia Wanyoto Mutende. today you took the record for arriving first onto the gang. Excellent. If your work continues like that, the future is bright.
And I bring you greetings from Mbale City. And to the gangsters, I'm saying good morning, colleague. Thank you so much.
Have you been vetted?
Yes, I did a vetting.
You did a vetting.
Yes.
And there are no issues because you've not been in the news. Congratulations on that one as well.
Thank you, Oskar.
Yes. In the studio, I have another noisemaker, rumor guy, rumor man, Godwin Toko. He's always putting out all those alarmist figures of expenditure and parliament. Good morning and welcome back to the Capital Gang.
Thank you, Oskar.
Yes.
I was last year in December. I remember the very last gang. So it's about 6 months and a good time to be back. There's a lot going on.
And the campaign season had been heating up and everything.
Yes.
And you'd been losing a losing battle, going with a losing battle with a parliamentary exhibition. At the moment, do you feel vindicated as Agora people?
Yes, to a large extent. Because when we were doing the campaign and people said, oh, the speaker is still the speaker, things haven't changed. I kept telling them that sometimes things like this take forever. They could take 10 years from now. Or maybe those who live after us will learn and say that this is a way to govern the country without the speaker turning the state coffer into their personal purse. But then I see the very issues we raised became at the center, at the forefront of whatever she was being accused of. I feel like there's still a long way to go. She hasn't been produced in the courts of law, for instance. If you really want to be serious about fighting corruption, it's not a case of negotiating with the person here and there and saying, okay, now you can go. And also the other poor mentioned, for instance, the deputy speaker's name came out prominently, and now he still remains as the deputy speaker. The clerk to parliament's name was mentioned prominently. People like Chris Obore and all the people seem to have their jobs. But again, I end with where I started. That again, it could be maybe take 10 years for Bore to be relieved of his duties, but the start is now. So we still feel vindicated that we did our part, and leave the rest to time and fate.
And the foreigners you are working for eventually showed up and owned the fight.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. You want to body sacked?
I don't want him sacked. I want him held accountable. Those two are different. It's possible that what we shared, he could explain them in a court of law and prove that he's innocent. Yeah, that's also what I want for the Speaker of Parliament. Because now we said that there are questionable things here. We didn't say she's guilty. The government seems to say, oh, they're actually questionable things. They've confiscated part of our property. They've deployed at a place, and they've done all these things. Now is the time to let her follow the Ugandan court processes. We have competent courts. In courts, we have competent courts. We pay these judges and all these people. Can she go and prove her case and say that this is how I got the Rolls Royce, this is how these things happened? Then we can know for the record that the speaker was not corrupt or the speaker was corrupt. Yes.
You, as a lawyer, maybe because they've changed something, like someone who's tortured can still be prosecuted. But as a lawyer, you know that maybe the matters were not handled in a legal way that would lead to court.
Yeah, that was my worry from the onset. I think they can still lead to court.
Really?
I think they can still. But I think the way the things were done left a lot to be desired. When Honorable was talking earlier, he didn't mention the fact that he put it to Kavanda. But before Kavanda, there were tweets that Kavanda followed. You get now. Those are the things that we also need to look at as a country. So in the case of the speaker, for instance, there should have been clear summons from the DPP, from the IGG's office and all that. But then all you get is a few people tweeting and all that. Then all hell seems to break loose as if things are going this way. And then it seems like it's following the whims of a few people. And that is not how justice should be delivered. Now, so far, I don't think they've done anything that bars them from prosecuting the speaker. And yesterday, Kavanda himself made a tweet and said, he didn't mention any name, but he seemed to suggest that the fight against corruption should go all out, let these guys go to court. And in some way, I thought that maybe it shouldn't right now, because here's my fear, that the current NRM regime system is in many ways compromised. We see people accused of very, very serious corruption allegations, and after some time, after a few weeks in Luzira, they walk scot-free. Now, the problem with that is that there's something in law called double jeopardy, that even another government wouldn't try them for those offenses. Sometimes I see them dilly-dallying with this, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's good. Maybe another government takes over someday and it's very serious and comes up and opens these files and starts with you on these very issues that you played around with and kind of like freed yourself by playing these games.
Benjamin Katana, most welcome to the gang. Treasurer of NUP. Not sure where the money is. But you're most welcome to the Capital Gang.
Thank God I'm next to him.
Thank you very much, Oskar. It's always a pleasure.
Yes. The other man of many words, Edgar Tabaro, is in the studio. You're most welcome to Gang, Edgar. I beg your pardon? Is
Consulting on the phone,
Yeah.
it's given the notes to speak.
welcome to Gang, Edgar Tabaro.
Consulting my boss, Honorable Kavanda. Yeah, he has emerged the most powerful is the de facto. And I was responding to a member of the family. When a member of the family calls for me, but extremely sorry. I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy that we are going to be discussing the topic of the vetting, because last Saturday, you shall recall, I prophesied that there was one person who was likely to hit a snag. So I think going forward,
and not three.
Going forward, I think this is like the third prophecy. Going forward, I think we're going to register Capital Gang prophecies ministries. I'll be the lead prophet, and Musomesa will be the pastor, and all the atheists will be the usher.
You might be a little bit late. Things happen here at the Capital Gang. But Derek,
but we shall not do the other deity between the two ladies that was being discussed at State House. Which doctor to consult?
When I tell you this man needs rumor monger, I have many of them. Three of them.
On NTV.
I have three of them in the studio this morning: Edgar Tabaro, Godwin Toko, Derek Wandera. So Wandera, you are the.
That's the age.
That's the age.
You can rumor without the mother.
Yes.
Repercussion.
So Derek, most welcome. You are the journalist here. State of the Nation address. What is it that caught your eye? I actually texted Lydia after the sauna, as they say, and I told her, I'm glad you are not sleeping during the speech, because they said, Kisanja, no sleep.
I didn't see many people sleeping this time around. I think they took enough coffee. Maybe, Oskar, it's always a pleasure being part of the gang. If I talk anything Sona, I would like to congratulate the journalism world, because one of us, Pidson Kareire, who had
Mother?
No. He was kidnapped by the speaker security, about 3 years ago, and held for over 2 weeks incommunicado. But yesterday, court pronounced and awarded him 30 million in damages.
To be paid by who?
By the speaker.
Right.
So I think it's always these very small.
The speaker is Obosobo.
No, the former speaker. Sorry, the former speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong.
The speaker administration or by the speaker the person, the former speaker the person.
Because I don't think he was kidnapped by Parliament.
No. The judgment we're saying.
By the speaker.
By the speaker or by Anita Mong.
By the former speaker Anita Mong. By the former speaker. Yeah. So
indeed.
I think it's always these very small milestones in our journey as journalists that matter and bring some happiness to us. And now I wish other people can also be prosecuted in the same manner. So coming to the State of Nations address, there's quite many misses and hits that you see in there. President Museveni has mastered the art of hiding our information in figures, and of course, kind of creating that whole aura of hope every time he speaks to the nation, especially during the SONA and the budget reading. Whether or not these matters come to pass, or these figures that he projects come to pass, it's not even a question of debate. It's just factual that we always miss many of those. But I know for a person who sat in that place, the Honorable Anyoto, there are things, and I know that Honorable or sat in that State of Nations address as well. There are things I'm very sure they could have cringed their eyes and also wondered whether these matters that can be achieved. Of course, President Museveni posts a lot of figures around the plan to put money into Ugandans, the pockets of Ugandans, and emphasizing the PDM parish development model and the 4-acre model and all those projects that he has come.
And this time with examples of people who are succeeding.
Absolutely. It brings examples of people who have succeeded. And I've always made mention that probably someone needs to revisit the reason as to why Daily Monitor and the nation media at large was chased away from President Museveni events. They came from some of these figures and some of these stories that he always posts. Some are very correct, to be honest, but there are those that are choreographed. The story that made us be chased away from President Museveni's events was actually the 4-acre model. I think in I forget the place. His home in Gomba, where something. So many people came and gave stories like these that gave us stories this time round. And they say, for me, I have grown oranges and I'm earning to the excess of 30 million per annum. Then another comes and says, no, for me, I started with one goat, now I earn in excess of 500 million. But at the end of their story, that's supposed to be a success story, they say, but mzee, to wear something to live. And then you wonder, how true that story was. But as our reporters are still there, a group just comes on the side and says, to be honest, these people are saying these things, but they are exaggerating them. And then for us, we follow the angle of saying PDM is a good project, but probably implementation needs to change. And that's what caused us trouble. So when we hear President giving us examples and those success stories, they could be true, but we also know as journalists that we've talked to people who have said these have failed. And even some of those who come out to say that they have achieved, sometimes they do that after being coached or something like that. So the State of Nations...
to be fair, you wouldn't expect everyone to succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the question is not about whether they succeed or not, whether the stories of those that come to give us those stories are actually right.
And someone like Ofonopondo farms trees. He has acres and acres of trees.
True.
But also him, sometimes he does struggle. He does not have cash flow because sometimes you have assets and not cash.
Yeah, true.
So when they say give us a little bit, maybe it's not so surprising.
Maybe not surprising. For me, as a person who...
At the end of the month, and doesn't know much phone comes.
But you have also come back to salary now.
No, you're back. You're back to me.
But my other skills are there.
Yeah. So the president labors and does very well in giving us figures, some of which, if actually put into real practice, we can achieve. So that's why I say for people who attended that, I know for sure that they can look at certain stories and be like, okay, president is lying here, But of the bigger picture is he has a big picture for this country. Probably implementation is what
can be a problem. Let's go to Lydia. Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, Minister with portfolio.
Without portfolio. Minister of State Public Service.
Minister of State Public Service. Yes. And that ministry.
If you have somebody looking for a job,
she's the one. So Lydia, when at that speech, because I was in the office and I could listen, I saw you were there. You had smiles on the street, and but I could imagine you now in public service refused, blocking people. Those people want corruption and so on for jobs. Then on the other hand, I don't know whether you know how to ride a bicycle. because
Lydia has already transformed. My God,
the president said, why would people look for fuel, for borders, and so on? How did you receive the State of a Nation address, Lydia?
On Thursday, the president issued it's statutory. It's in the constitutional mandate of the head of state. That's supposed to be a directive to give the country direction on where we want to go, but also to he normally anchors in the history where we have, and that's not very popular with many people, but I think that's his style. Bring the history, talking about how we got where we are and where we need to go. But the summary of his speech on Thursday to me was about household income, because you could see he was he was projecting videos showing how we should help families that are not yet on the financial grid or part of the financial money economy, that every Ugandan, every household, they should have something they bring to earn an income, not only for personal survival, like basics of food and clothing, but some beyond, saving or even sell, take to the market. So his speech was clothed in some videos of real life people out there in the community and how they have transformed. If you look at the audience that was in Kololo, plus the wider, because it was on live TV, it was a message to say that if you're a member of parliament for the elderly, and you're elderly about 100 or so, scattered around the region of the country, their homes must have something they do every day to earn a basic survival for food, for shelter, decent life, but also have something they can sell. And because he said next me, I've given him as an example, but like now for each of the 5 members of parliament, they have a constituency. So if they can give a life or a startup or a decent life to the constituents, then the youth were also there. They can also pick a leaf and do their bit, the youth, because we have youth members of parliament. Then I'm in the category of those that lead seats that are for affirmative action, the women, so that when you are listening in, you take away what is yours, so that we can divide this country and each one of us takes their portion and go check in your constituent, in your voter, what do they wake up to every morning? If they're not salaried people, actually they can earn monthly money. They are giving us an example of people that wake up in the morning and put their milk cans by the roadside. Then somebody who is a processor comes and picks with a cooler van, a milk van. For you in the morning, they have your 2 cows, you milk, 10 liters or 20 liters. They have a book, they register, they take. At the end of the month, they pay you the amount worth the milk you are depositing at the roadside in the milk can, or at the trading center where there is a cooling facility. That's an example. It can be the same for carrots. You drop your bags of carrots at some center, then someone comes and picks them. It can be the same for tomatoes. It can be the same for cabbages. There are market days. So if there's a market day, the Baganda culture of sorry, those market days. If you are in the community where there is a market day, whether it's every Sunday or every end of the month, it should work your energy to say, what will I take to the market day? So that you also now do something that will make you work the market day and earn a living. And what is happening now, if you go to Ngoma, for example, it knows about Ngoma. Those market days of Ngoma are part of the interesting in the country. Those guys go home with, they can be a collection of over 1 billion shillings, because if a cow goes for, if the cattle market, if a cow goes for 3-4 million shillings, and you've taken your 10 cows, and then these meat processors of these people who buy meat for
Kampala
okay.
supermarket transport.
So if they come and pick trucks of cows, so even financial services have begun. I've seen financial services going to the market, to the cattle markets. When you buy your cow, you don't go with the cash in the bag at home. It's very risky. So your 10 or 15 million, these people of bullion vans of the financial sector, they bank your money there and then. They bank your money. So this is happening. But what the campaign the president is on is that we've struggled to have the main pillars that trigger development. That is roads, electricity, and connecting the country. But that is for all of us. Now, for you, what is in your household? So the story, the narrative about the national address was to shift our efforts as leaders to fight poverty. In the past, statistics were showing that 68% of Uganda's rural population were off the financial sector. They could not touch 1,000 shillings from morning to evening. That's why you've heard about the parish development model. Let there be a startup capital. Every parish should have 100 million every financial year. This is going to be the fourth batch. So when we begin this financial year, every parish in Uganda will have 400 million shillings. Now, the role of the leader is to check what enterprises are going on, who got the 1 million, and what are they doing with the 1 million, so that every market they have something to take on your veranda or somewhere. Then there are also the tie-in is the skills building for the young people. Uganda's population is young. We should leverage the energy and the enthusiasm of the young people. So we have all these skilling hubs. I come from Mbale City. We have one for the sub-region, but every sub-region has a skilling center. So many of our youth are now picking skills in the service sector, skills in production, so that they are also active and they participate in terms of using their skills and the energy to contribute to the economy of the country. And this is tying in, Oskar, you've been hearing about the tenfold campaign, that we are going to mobilize our economy to have $500 billion within the next 10 years. How is that possible? We must mobilize the population to participate in the economy. They shouldn't be spectators. So skills, economy empowerment of startup capital, and where are you marketing your goods? Because we must also look for the markets, and then we see how best we can use this young population to contribute to the economy, and the story of the tenfold should be a reality. Yes.
Yes, Honorable Minister. You know how to develop points further. But let's go to the elderly. Honorable Ofonopondo.
Statistically dead.
Honorable Ofonopondo.
By the current life expectancy, I'm not yet statistically dead. It is now 68. You're just about 3 years thereabout. We shall do your room when you turn 68.
But we are you and I on this table, we are rare species. You tell Tabaru.
Tell Edgar where we are, he may not reach.
It's a big point. So you people have talked about other things. He said no corruption. He repeated it several times. Repeated he said no corruption, no sleep.
No more sleep.
Yeah.
No more corruption. No more loading it over.
Kugumaza.
Loading over. And then finally said, I have lost my patience with these people of laissez-faire. Enough is enough. That's what he said. And I think it's a good thing that he said on record many times. I'm sure he's going to repeat it next Thursday when he's presenting the budget. I call upon all Ugandans to hold the president to each of his word. That's the job of the citizen, a good citizen. And the NRM itself and the president has been saying, we must wake up people to hold the leaders accountable. I hope we will not find offense when Ugandans hold him to strict proof standard, the highest standard we can have. I understood the president like I've understood him over the last 40 years, having worked with him closely, that the president frames his conversation knowing very well the country he's leading. Many people are ignorant. Even we, the educated who have gone to universities, we still suffer what we call secondary ignorance. If you ask many of us here, how many of us believe that you can go to a village, remote village, and create a town? Many of us think that we must find already made things. And the president, his conversation is that we must shift the mind, particularly of the leaders, of the elites, because they are part of our problems. Many years ago, we didn't believe that it's possible to sell millet. I grew up, millet was the dominant crop in the whole of Buked and Eastern Uganda, Northern Uganda, I think. Yes, but we never believed that millet could be sold. I grew up, I went to Makerere University more than 40 years ago. I never saw anywhere millet is sold. Millet was for eating and cultural functions. Yeah, it was for cultural. If somebody comes to just say donate, somebody says I have a rumbe, I feel all right, you donate, you don't sell. For us, we never sold the chicken. But now, 45 years later, chicken is a cash animal, is a cash livestock. Actually, in some places like Teso, Lango, chicken can bring you good money as cows, as good money as selling land. I never saw it's being sold when I was growing up. Pork. It was for drunkards by the roadside, half roasted, and so on. So the president is shifting the mind that we can actually literally sell anything. Yes, when we were growing up.
Stay with the microphone.
I have given this story before. You remember, and I would want him to dispute. I'm sure he's a very good listener of Katuganga and is a good friend. Our Mzee, Professor Mondo Kagonyera. You remember he was one time Minister of Animal Industry in Uganda. And I think they had been brainwashed by Europeans that our local African cows, Ugandan cows, you cannot turn their milk into powder milk because we were their market for dairy products from the Scandinavian countries. The President Mondo Kagonyera disagreed sharply. Today, all of us know that we get milk from Ankara cows and Teso cows, and we turn into packed milk, we turn into milk, we turn into powder milk. Now we know. So the president is driving a strong narrative of, first of all, changing the mind of the leaders, and the leaders in turn change the mind of those they lead. I once had a discussion with Honorable Alisa Lasso on a top radio in Soroti. It was on the eve of elections. And Honorable Alisa Lasso on that show, and Chola, Honorable Chola, he was the MP for Serere then, they said there were no drugs in government medical facilities. And I asked, what medical facility have you gone to and did not find the drugs? And which drugs? Instead of talking in a generality. I'm not saying there are drugs all the time. No, they couldn't. So I said, let's go to the medical center where he went, because those medical centers should have a visitor's book. And we check whether you have visited the medical centers, medical facilities in your constituency. They declined. It was also on the eve, they had just released PLE results, and they were complaining about poor performance. Then I said, but you MPs, by law, you're supposed to be members of the local councils, district local councils. Can we go to your local councils and government schools and we check which ones in your constituencies you had visited? They declined. And many of us leaders are like that. If you go to an average place, you'll find an MP has not visited the primary school, the government primary school. or a secondary school, government. And yet, in those grounds is where they hold their political rallies. But they will not go to the headmaster's office and ask, how many children do you have? The school has, like now, the term has just opened. How many MPs actually go to ask the headmaster? It may not be your core job, but to ask a headmaster, now you have 800 primary school children. It is 2 weeks into the term. Give me the register and we'll go through. How many children have returned? Just to have an idea. And that's where we start having problems. And so the president is saying, please, you leaders, particularly you MPs, who are well facilitated, I've just learned that MPs are actually facilitated every week, 4 times a month, to go to their constituency, to interact with the constituency issues. They are given fuel, generous by
We are going?
Yeah?
You and I, we go?
Yes, generous, by the way. You know, MPs are given the equivalent. The equivalent, I can see Lydia, she doesn't want me to say what we are going to answer. MPs are given approximately the equivalent of 1 liter of fuel in cash. If your constituency is 100 kilometers, they actually give you 100 liters of fuel, to and fro, in the cash.
To actually go there.
Yes. Now, all of us know that a good car, a good vehicle, takes about 9 kilometers, 1 liter per 9 kilometers. So you ask, these MPs, why are they unable to go to their constituency and interact with the constituency issues? So that's what the president is saying. Call a parish chief, call district education officer and say, Mr. Education Officer, can I have the statistics of your schools, the children, the teachers, and what is amiss, so that we can go and talk about it. We lobby. So that's why the president is making a clarion call on leaders, particularly those of us who are
if
going
that's how you understood it, it's sounding good.
That's how I understood it.
Yeah.
That's how I understood it. And that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Then the other one is the question of helping people identify where to produce and improve productivity. Produce and productivity, and then link that with marketing. I am now 3 years old. I'm making 3 years in this September in Kapelebyong. Kapelebyong from Mbale, from Kapchorwa, is approximately 200 kilometers. But do you know that the cabbage eaten in Kapelebyong comes from Sebei, Sironko, Bulamburi? And then you say, you Teso people, as you know, Teso is full of swamps. Cabbage lies very well in the swamps. Sugarcane, you know that sugarcane should in the Kapelebyong market in Adipala or Achowa and so on, come from Bugisu. And you ask, how can sugarcane, how can cabbage come from 200 kilometers? What are you doing? Now that's what the president is saying. Can we wake up and producing it there? When I went there, somebody asked me, now you have retired, because I went there after retirement. Somebody was saying, you man, 60, 61. How can you leave Toro and you go all that far? And I said, Chinese leave China and come here. A 72-year-old Chinese come here to produce in the middle of nowhere. It goes to Arua. Now you are phone from Tororo. How can you say Kapelebyong is very far? How can you say part of this congestion in Kampala is because of elite mentality? Somebody has come all the way from Kisoro. Then a friend teaches him, because he's in a boot, he's building in a boot, and then they say, you man, you are staying very far. But the man has come all the way from Kisoro. He has moved near Kampala. Why would Kampala have all this mess of congestion when all Wakiso, Mitiana, Mukono is free and road is improving? Why would somebody buy a 50 by 100, a quarter, an eighth of an acre at $1 billion shillings? Elite mentality. So that's what the president is dealing with. That can we expand our horizon on the way we see things, and we shall achieve this transformation much better. Because if we leave the population as far as they are, that's why I don't know about you. I've seen the video saying how many MPs, 103. I guess they are in court. And what are the issues? Bribery. How much are they bribing voters with? 500 shilling sacket of soap, of salt. Salt is 300 shillings, but they can't decide this between. If you have wealthy constituents, voters, why would you bribe them with the 500 coin? Why would you? So because it will then save us. Court cases will no longer be about bribing people with that little money.
Yeah,
it will not.
It's expensive.
Yeah. So
thank you.
So I think the president's speech was, and there are many Ugandans, particularly we Ellis, who want the president to talk about Uganda as if it is a utopia. The president is talking about leading Uganda the way it is. Where?
Not the one he promised in 1986.
No, that's the one. That's the one. Yes, 1986. You hadn't been. 1986. You weren't born. My first job as a cadre of NRM at Makerere University, I was on taking a place called Customs. Customs was from the main gate. Those little houses, I don't know if they are still there, taking time. There are places for selling crude warrage, and we call them customs because they were entry points. If you are buying warrage from Katanga, you pass there with them. So they said, so those of us who were in the CCE, academics, we test. If you are bringing the real good, so that's why we named it customs. Yes. So, and I was saying, yes, I was saying up to and I was taking up to Lumumba. My first job, one of them was to distribute pieces of soap. Pieces of soap. Under Mzee Matthew Graham was running a business opposite Kampala State Council there. Yes, yeah. I'm saying Mzee Matthew, Mzee FDR, Francis Graham, where they would supply Makerere University with a box or two every hall, maybe 2-3 cartons of soap, some 3 or 5 crates of soda. And if you had registered with us earlier that you have a birthday, you want to have a band, then they would also give you some beer. Now that beer, you'd punch it. Now with the crude warrage and oranges. That's why. No. So my job was to distribute actually sugar, soap, basic things. Yes.
So cooking
oil. Our time there was no cooking oil. So Uganda has actually moved greatly, but because of the anxiety, the promise by the president, the expectation, but also the value of the young people who you can no longer just keep explaining, especially NRM and Museveni was lived and led for 40 years. You cannot explain to people the slow progress, the many of the weaknesses. Because remember, the president was the one saying, these are UPC civil servants. Now, we can no longer call those UPC civil servants because 100% are NRM recruited. 100%.
And Nidia is going to recruit
UPC, the police is 100%. So you can no longer blame the corruption in the police, in prison, or the abuse in intelligence services, in the army, on UPC. And that creates a lot of anger. And so the president is calling. The president is like now working alone. These 82 ministers, 375 NRM MPs. How can you have 375 MPs of NRM and Parliament lacks quorum? So that this is the tone.
Thank you, Ovanapondo. The Edgar, you're on microphone.
Indeed,
he in the president's address, he also was annoyed with people that go to Dubai for Cheyo. How can you go to Dubai when you got?
has brought out a very pertinent issue. The issue
you've had the one I put to you as well.
The
about
issue
migrating to Dubai for work. He was very dismissive. Why would you wish to do that?
On delivery of service delivery. has brought out a very pertinent issue that we can't keep blaming the others, the UPC, because we've been running the country for the last 40 years. And I would like to draw the attention of our listeners, and in particular, my student, whom I'm happy to pronounce as very proud of, the Honorable Lydia Onyoto, Minister of State for Public Service.
I don't know. I'm proud of her. She may not be necessarily proud of me. I like her. She may not necessarily like me, but that's what it is. So, in 1981, there was a committee that was formed to reform the civil service. I think it was chaired by Dr. Colin Sentongo. It had such luminaries as Ambassador Oboth, or is it Okumu? Oboth Okumu. It had Ruamafa. Well, that time I think was director civil service reform. It was a very fine teams put together by the World Bank, and they produced a report and took it to President Museveni. President Museveni, in his usual guerrilla style of doing things, shot the report down because they were introducing a new concept in service, in the civil service, results-oriented management. You remember Rome, and it had become a buzzword at the time. But when they brought it to President Museveni, for reasons I don't know, I've never interacted with him on that matter, he said he didn't want to stifle the private sector of quality personnel, and therefore he was going to maintain the approach that he had come with from the bush, so that the private sector gets the best persons. And you remember President Museveni right from the time he took over power, and that has been his major point of departure with many of his fellow revolutionaries, either in Uganda, the Mugabes of this world, I don't want to mention other names, even Nyerere, is that they did not understand how the private sector operates, and therefore he gave all support, and sometimes at the expense of the civil service. You remember in 1991, that's the same time we are attracting the departed Asians, even bending the law to permit them even to repossess properties that had already been compensated for. So for me, when I listened to the address, I was reading his body language. Leave alone that he mentioned one of my colleagues and the person I also taught, Tegule. I actually didn't know Uruguay is very similar to my Urufumbila language. I was able to follow that person from which village was that town, that video they were playing. Chibuku, like Wakid as well. Is Wakid also from Chibuku? Okay, so now the critical factor is mindset change. There's no way we can talk about transforming the country into an industrial, well, if you need to say power, there's no way you can talk about growing the economy at double digit with the kind of mindset that we have with our leaders. Tenfold, 500 billion. And remember, he emphasized that even without factoring in the oil, commercial oil production. So the question we should be asking ourselves, we've done fairly well. Commendable job that in 1986, poverty levels were nearing 70%. I think they've now dropped to 16%. Financial inclusion, Uganda was largely a peasantry society, but now, and with the intervention of PDM, incidentally, PDM directly challenges the Bretton Woods approach of alleviation of poverty. The PDM approach is elimination of what? Of poverty. If we are talking about $1 a day as the standard of what? Of poverty, the measure of poverty, standard measure. So this PDM is totally disruptive. However, we have excess electricity that we are producing. We have.
It's not true.
We have excess electricity. Although
not true.
How is that true if there are many Ugandans who don't have electricity?
You see, now there's production and there's connection. There's production and connection, and that's disjuncture is where we want.
Let's not go into that discussion, but just take it. It's not true.
But it's the state of the no. We are producing 2,400 and something megawatts of electricity. We are consuming just about 1,500. You see, that is the disjuncture. That's what I'm saying.
Those are the questions we should be asking.
More than we currently consume, and that's why you sell power to
other countries.
Or you actually keep idle power.
Idle power.
Which is actually expensive. Isn't that the
and exactly.
Produce more food.
Let us.
I thought I had the floor.
Yes, we just made a correction for you that it is not true.
It is true. It is true.
It is for another day.
True. I know what I'm talking about.
So do we.
So the question is, what do we do about that excess power? Should we export it to the other countries? And if we are going to export it, which countries?
Shall we have any power?
Excuse me, I still have the floor.
I've switched off.
This the elite mentality. I don't believe.
Go on, Edgar.
So,
Edgar, you're on microphone.
Yeah, and you see exactly. Now, fortunately, we are now. Those are the questions we should be posing. The Honorable OO has asked us that the persons in our spaces, the intelligentsia, should be holding our leaders to account. So the whether we'll be arrested or not, okay, permit me to present my point. And the question is electricity in Uganda affordable? And if it's not affordable, it's affordable for all, so that we develop a more cottage industry, because the concentration is on big industry. All these industrial parks they're talking about, they are looking at the big countries like China that we're looking for up to now. India started with cottage industry. Cottage industry is easier to deploy and absorb the masses of the people that we have. Those are the questions you should be asking. So listening to his speech after 40 years, and well, we don't know how much time we have on earth, but we'll all agree that time is not the best ally of President Museveni now. Yeah, it's not the best. It's not his best ally. And if we are to look at the team that he has chosen to lead us for the next 5 years, we have some very good persons like Lydia. I'll vouch for her. If you let us down, we shall hold you to account. Whether looks or what.
Only your microphone is on.
Well, Lydia is very exposed. She was at Eyala.
Edgar, we are about to go for break.
No, Lydia is very exposed. She was at Eyala. She worked at the AU. She was in Somalia.
She's been on gang.
She's been on gang. She's very exposed. And let me tell you, there's a minimum we expect from Lydia.
So
but looking at what some of their colleagues are already doing, I'm very, very, very worried. And and quite frankly, the president will have to make a midterm reshuffle in 18 months so as to allow to. I don't think we're going to be that patient, because this Hakuna Kulala buzzword now is going to catch up with many of them. Hakuna Kulala Tena is going to catch up of our elected representatives. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Let's stop for a quick break, and after the break, we have a few more people to present. We'll come back from the break. This break was about power, but I've suspended that discussion. It needs a discussion on its own, and we shall have a discussion on that. Honorable, I beg your pardon?
Call the fellows who are producing power. The ones who are distributing.
Yes. And then we shall have
and the distribution, the transmission. And when you bring those three.
Yeah. Now the distribution is the retailers though. So we just need to bring two. So Honorable Biara. Honorable Biara, you're on microphone. What do you take from the president's address?
Thank you very much.
The reason I've done this side fully because I'm going to go to others who may not have taken a lot from the address.
And we need to change their mindset.
No, you need
before
to
we
listen
give.
to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. To me, the president scored on the scale of 100. He scored 90% in terms of giving us accountability of a full year since he ever addressed the nation in 2025. And he has been preaching about economic transformation, wealth creation, and then empowering citizens that we can use the resources that we have. And when we talk about the resources in Uganda, we look at including the climate we have, the fertile soils that we have, that we can use the resources at hand, and then we transform our lives. We transform the livelihoods of even the people we lead. And look, he didn't stop at that. He played very interesting videos. And I'm glad that he played one of the videos from my neighboring district, Sironko, from a gentleman called Mudebo, who is doing dairy farming. And he's earning about 600,000 per day. At first, I thought it is a myth. And when I visited Mudebo in Sironko, it is true. Even actually, one time we should be carrying the gangsters, and then we visit some of these people, like the Europeans, like those in diaspora. Actually, he even emphasized that when we speak, people like Wandera, like my brother here, I think we are creating stories. My neighbor with the longest beard in the studio today.
For the benefit of the gangsters and listeners,
Yes.
after that screening, somebody from Teso called me from Soroti City and claimed to me that Mr. Mudebo has been a rich man for a long time. Even alleged that is actually a prominent money lender. So meaning he actually has money. Yes. So his money is not from. And I called the people in Iso and I said, is the president being duped? Because the president doesn't collect these things. When he says, I'm going to Teso, they task people to go and find who should the president visit. Is it duping? And we are going to find out. And I agree with you.
Yes.
Gangsters or capital gang, and with the media, all of these people who have been shown,
Yes.
follow them up and find out in detail whether they actually they are beneficiaries of PDM or other government efforts.
Yeah.
So, Oskar, due to that,
I
we
think
have come.
you've put in a good rider.
Yes.
When you say are they beneficiaries of PDM, because Edgar here has started butchery, has started beef processing, and is doing very well. So the day we hear his PDM is the day because we love his business and so on.
No, we have
And
no
what
government intervention yet.
Pardon?
We have no government intervention yet in palm meat industries, Nakasongola, not yet.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Yes, but given that we have.
Hold on. But I also like government to intervene in things like.
Now that you.
And the smallest person, medium, even the
I'm using the microphone.
Even the Mukwanos, the government intervenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back to you.
So, Edgar, since we have a new minister for finance, and then your friend Frank Tumwebaze, I think you can reach out and then they can facilitate you in some of those things. This is Chisanja.
Go on.
Okay, let me submit, guys.
Yes, please.
Now, due to what the president was submitting and the videos he showed us, the MPs in Chankwanzi, we went to his farm, the presidential farm. We came up with a new word called the Musevenomics. Yeah, and he was very worried that God might judge him harshly if around Chisozi. If he died and the people around him are poor. He's even fearing because he wants to go to heaven. Therefore, Oskar, I think the judgment.
Your microphone is on.
Oskar, what I've decided to do as the new MP for Blambuli, I'm going to starting August, I'm going to open up a 4-acre model as a leader to demonstrate, like the minister of works.
But in your area, where will you get 4 acres from?
Yeah, I am lucky
In
that
Bulambuli?
yes, we have actually in the whole of the Elgon zone, Bulambuli has the largest chunks of land. And myself, I'm blessed to have some little land. Some not too much, but at least I can afford
So
4 acres.
do 4
I'm
acres
going to do a demonstration for my electorates, even for the capital gang, even for the media houses, that after 1 year or 2, they should come and then they see by
You're
themselves
on national radio,
that you
so
can.
as O has told us, we'll hold you accountable.
Please, please. And for me, whatever I mention, I'm determined to do that because we are going to get 315 million, which I've promised myself that I'm not going to use a coin of it. It is going to the constituency. As I demonstrate, as I give for the car.
Oh.
Yes. And this is
was financial advisor. Let me write that one down.
My brother OO is also going to get that money. Sometimes when he's speaking as if he's not an MP.
He's a new MP.
We also want to see you.
I'm done. I just said we are going to be paid this much for fuel.
Yes, but he did talk about the 315.
Okay. I'm asking.
So
mine is going to help some of my voters to create these demonstrations to change their mindset that you can be in Bulambuli and then you produce milk that can be supplied to any dairy, maybe a dairy factory or anywhere in Kampala, because all of us were here. We eat eggs every day. When I heard the president was showing the one of Soga is called, I think.
From Kamuli.
Yes, Kamuli is earning about 20 million per day. At first, yes, per day. He has a very big poultry farm. You know, when the president visited the Kamuli, I think in 2007, that gentleman was vying for chairman LC5, and there were about 6 or 7 of them. When he talked, promised to support him, he stepped down. The way he stepped down for my sister, Lydia Wanyoto, in the deputy speaker. Yes, he gave him capital to start. But Oskar, the point I'm driving at, I'm telling you,
made the point, yes.
At my home, we eat 3 eggs, 3 trays of eggs per 1 week, because I have a big family. You need to visit me and see. Now, each tray of eggs on average is 15,000. That means I am paying 45,000 within every 5 days, and I'm not alone. Even the capital gang, I don't know whether the eggs are here, but we are going to check. All of us eat eggs, and the children eat eggs. Look at the population of Uganda. We are coming to 50 million people. That means if you have a good poultry farm and eating eggs, you can't go wrong. We eat chicken every day. Therefore, I just want to encourage the president that he emphasizes value addition in the Chisanja we are going into, and then we export more, we reduce all the importation so that our GDP can
grow. Let's go to Gordon Toko here. Godwin, you know, when I think about eggs, 3 eggs every day, because what happens is
no relationship whatsoever.
As Emma, as Emma grows up, you realize that people in our age we eat eggs once a month, and then yes.
So Oskar, for me,
no, let me put it to you, because now we have come to the side.
Yes.
You see all these rosy stories coming from
I do see
the
that.
lady and the gentleman of, eating eggs and chicken,
earning 20 million.
Earning 20 million a day. The other one is 600,000 a day. Omuntu wa wansi yapos, how does PDM help a fisherman who has been ejected out of the lake?
Yes.
So that's the question. Are people in Uganda seeing how, apart from who said that some people, it doesn't translate for them?
So first, I think that models like PDM are wrong for an economy like Uganda. That is my starting point. The government of Uganda owes Ugandans a duty to regulate banks, ensure that banks are functioning well. Those who need money for investment go and get loans from the banks. If the government is giving handouts, and there's a reason why you saw many of the people came out to give this NRM, they're wearing NRM shirts, praising the president and all that, is that it becomes discriminatory. We could be here.
And patronage.
Yes, and patronage. We could be here, and the most enterprising Ugandan who could create the 100 in this studio is some guy who is the Nuke mobilizer. But if the way the PDM model and all these things function is that it becomes very, very hard for him to access that money. They will deny it. They will say, it's open for everyone. It's not. The reality out there is way different. So I think the government of Uganda is running away from the actual role it should play, which is to regulate banks, which is to set a central lending rate, which is to do the big things that other economies did to get to the tenfold economy. If you use the example of, say, like South Korea, Park Chung-hee, there was a deliberate attempt by him to say that a bank cannot lend money to anything other than industry for a period of time. Because if you have industry, then you can develop, you can create these chains to the agriculture and all that. But in Uganda, people go and get loans for anything. Then the bank will give you, is it 23%? Then we get Chinese who are getting their own loans at, say, like 9% or 3%. Then we bring them here and praise them and say, oh, these are the investors, they have the money. The problem is we are not making Ugandan investors because we are charging them very high rate. Look at all the successful Ugandan business people who die. I could mention names. It's like within the first 2 or 3 years, there's a quarrel with the bank, there's a quarrel with the family, the businesses go under. Now, those are the things the government of Uganda should be addressing. If you have people like Murwana, if you have people like, what's the name of this guy, Semweya, those are the guys who should, those are the entrepreneurs. You can give me the money and say that, Toko, here is money in your parish, you go and get money. And I can get that money and drink it. We've had people saying that they're not going to pay back the money because they thought it was an NRM largesse to them because they supported NRM, they danced at the campaign rallies and all that. So the model itself is flawed, and that is the basis of all these problems. Now, to the stories we were seeing yesterday, you could see that many of these things, Oskar, you can't tell me there's a gentleman in Karamoja who sells mangoes at 500 shillings, and he sells mangoes and earns 6 million from an harvest, the first harvest. Then he says, this year's harvest, I'm getting 80 million. And he said, I quote him because, I didn't watch that speech initially, but I had to watch it before coming here. He said, in the first harvest, he sold locally within Karamoja, within his district. And 500 shillings per mango to the point of earning 6 million. I come from West Nile, where mangoes grow everywhere. And I can assure you, with 500 shillings, you almost get a bucket of mangoes. Not going for one piece of mango, yeah? So the thing that we should...
That's because you have mangoes. In the Karamoja, mangoes are not everywhere.
But they don't have the money. Okay.
Are you sure?
Wait.
Are you sure? They have been having money to buy bullets.
No, what I'm saying, first way to follow. Let me make my point. So what I'm saying here is that Karamoja, I can quote your government and says that Karamoja is the poorest region in this country. Fact. If they had money to buy bullets, that does it automatically. Bullets was protection because your state wasn't protecting them. They had to get guns, protect themselves, protect the cattle. Yeah, it was a failure of your government, just like a failure of the main government, just like a failure of all those other governments. So you can't put that to them. If you give me money now and for survival, I would use it for survival. It was survival. So back to the point.
Take a child to hospital.
Yes, take a child to hospital because that is a crisis at that point. So for me, the whole real story here is it seems like many of these stories are actually cooked. Many of these stories are questionable. Now, the dilemma we have as Uganda is that if I set out as a journalist today with camera and said, let me go and investigate these stories, I'll probably not get to the second person before I'm arrested.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the reality of Uganda. Now, if the president is being duped,
RDC would finish.
Yeah, they'll pick me the next minute and say, oh, these are the guys who are charged me under the sovereignty bill. Say you pay 400 million because you're going against the government of Uganda. We need to have, if we allowed ourselves to have a transparent government, this man will come and tell his story, and then the next day Wandera goes and investigates. Is it actually true? But it could actually be true that he earned 3 million. It could be true that actually there's a farm. This man earns 3 million, but because of the need to appease the president, the need to overstate the success, they'll double it and say it's 6 million. Now, the 3 million in itself would be a good story. Yeah, like this man is earning 3 million per month, which is a good thing. The 20
even
million.
1 million.
Yeah, even 1 million. Yeah, because now we don't have a fourth estate that is allowed. I'm not saying that it's equipped. They are equipped, but they are not even allowed to go and investigate these stories. We shall never know the truth. Then there's this part where the president talked about to go to Saudi Arabia to look for money, blah, blah. And I sometimes I wonder if the president is that disconnected from the reality of Ugandans. Yeah, he seems to live in this utopia where there's people are living really well. They're singing kumbaya. Whoever isn't, he doesn't just want to work. Yeah, I live with the average Ugandan. You get it? Things are really that tough. People have to go to Saudi Arabia, that desert. If that desert offers them opportunity, And this is what Wanyoto said earlier, Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, the idea that we're moving to the money economy. And sometimes I look at that as from my economic mindset, I think, do we really need to move there that fast as yet? Because here's the reality, Oskar. I did research when I was working at Greece, the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies in Mukono. The number of Chinese set factories there, making paper and all this. What happens is these guys open the gate at 6 in the morning to hundreds, maybe thousands of Ugandans, young people are looking for jobs. Then they begin to count up to the number they want. They say, this is the 300th person, we are stopping here. Then they'll turn away and say the 700. Each of these guys will go and work the whole day, whether your finger gets cut, no matter what. And at the end of the day, they're paying 5,000 shillings. Then we'll brag and say, we're in the cash economy.
Five. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 5,000 shillings, the whole day's work. Yeah, the whole day's work. And sometimes I think it would have been better for this person to stay in the cashless economy in West Nile, yeah, where he's assured of food, that he can do subsistence farming, but he's assured of living, and he doesn't have these problems. Because I met people there whose hands were cut off. And if your hand is cut off, it's your problem. You don't work. Yeah? No. It's not about the labor laws. I can tell you, old guy, there's a speech the president gave at one of these factories. Just a minute. There's a speech the president gave at one of these factories, where he said, I was getting to that, where he said, why are you paying these guys too much money? He was telling the investors why they are paying Ugandans too much money. How much was the too much money? They were paying them 7,000 this time. You get it? And I was like, wait, who do you speak for? Who are you? Which team are you playing for? Are you playing for Team Uganda or are you playing for Team China? You get it? Like, are you our president or you're cheating? Yeah. You get it? So for me, at the end of the day,
the settlement, but the labor laws. That's what we did the president's settlement. We have the labor laws. Okay.
The way is military officers so participating partisan politics. When does it ever get enforced? So, like, for me, I feel like Edgar is moving. Edgar is now becoming the elite that all talked about. You get
Let me speak on behalf of the 12th Parliament.
Emma.
Give us
Emma Biara,
let's give you hope that we are going to introduce a minimum bill.
What I'm saying is
minimum bill.
What I'm saying,
wages.
My entire argument, I'm a lawyer. I know that these laws exist. I know that if you enforce the current law,
hold on. Emma, Edgar, this is also some problems with powerful people. Powerful people do not let others talk so that you listen to their story. Yeah. And this side, you are the powerful people.
Yes. Then we are the
you have everything, money, what. You are listening. The minister is listening.
Yeah. So Edgar,
go ahead.
So yes, Oskar, to make my point now, I think the Ugandan economy needs to be rethought in a way that puts the Ugandan at the center of it. Yeah. If we are bringing, first of all, before we get in the foreign investors, what is failing our investors? Why is that every time a big man who had all these businesses, whether it's Musinguzi, Garuga, when they pass on, it's predictable that within a year of their passing, the newspapers are full of stories of how their family is fighting and how their business empire is collapsing, whether it's Aponye, you could mention names. Yeah. So what is failing them? That's the first question. Yeah, because China doesn't take Ugandan investors and treat them better than Chinese investors. Countries begin by developing their own people. Yeah, which is what we are failing. 2, the foreign direct investment. It's a good thing. When the investors come here, we don't have a minimum wage. The president of this country has refused to sign a minimum wage, saying it would scare away investors. Yeah. Now, he hasn't signed it unless you signed it last night. He hasn't signed it, and because of that, Ugandan workers, the ones I've mentioned in Mukono, and Mukono, I could even go to Mbale and carry out this investigation and come and give you a report here. You'll find like there is no way they are paid a minimum wage that can survive, a subsistence wage. So what happens is most of them have to find other means. The guy rides boda at night. The guy engages in crime to make ends meet. That for me is the problem of the Ugandan economy. It is taught in Washington. It is taught at the Bretton Woods institutions. It is taught by the World Bank and others. It's not taught by Ugandans for the Ugandan people. You get until we get to that point where this economy is taught in a way that says, I like what the Opondo said, didn't you sell sorghum? Now we sell sorghum. How do we make this economy a Ugandan thing that even if you're outside the cashless economy, how do you still survive? How do we get to a point where, you see, I must work to pay school fees for my kids, I must work to pay transport, I must work, like there's so many things. And there are things the government of Uganda can also do and say, maybe if you're a teacher, we're providing you with housing. Now, those are the bigger economic questions that we don't. So for me, that is the problem. And then to conclude, I think the highlight of the speech was the 2 things where he talked about the pancakes, that they brought the President Bill Clinton, and they wanted to take him to Chiruhura to see what the wonders USAID did to the ticks. But then they chose to take him to see pancakes in Mukono, and they tagged along, so they went and saw the pancakes. And the other thing was the accountability gave for the $20. I had never seen the NRM give accountability better than that. He really accounted for every penny, And I wish that was how the government of Uganda accounted for the taxes. Yeah, down from the Nyima. He said, oh, now we use the 14 shillings. Then there was this. And I was like, wow, if we could only have the government of Uganda accounting to us like this, it would be a better country.
Moses Verhanga tells you, how are the foreign investors treated differently? Moses Verhanga says, how are the foreign investors treated differently from the local investors that you are speaking out of topic? This is Moses Verhanga.
Yeah, do I respond to him?
Yes, but then he says a topic I said I'll shelve for another time, maybe next week. We are generating 2,052 megawatts of power. Consumption is 1,300 and so on. Minimum wage is an issue of supply and demand of labor. This is Moses Verhanga.
So first,
two sentences.
Yeah, that's the wrong assertion. Many countries set a minimum wage and then the countries work with them. Because it doesn't have to be 2 million. You can set a minimum wage and say we're starting with 250, which is what the Bank of Uganda says the average Ugandan earns. Two, responding to the assertion, how does Uganda treat foreign investors better? You can see it, yeah? The average industrial park in this country is made for foreign investors. It's not made for Ugandans, yeah? The average. Okay, mention, which industrial park has more Ugandans than foreigners?
I can tell you that Namab, as an example.
Okay, and Namab is one of about 20, right?
Yes, now
that would still be advantage foreigners.
Don't shouting want to make your point valid.
No, I'm not shouting.
I am giving an example.
Yes.
You can go check this from the investment authority.
Even on the ground.
When Namab was demarcated, much of the plots there were acquired by Ugandans. Ugandans who happen to be speculators. Yes. And they have in turn resold too. So you cannot say that you are not. No.
Let him finish.
Let him finish. Ugandans came up, you and I, wrote investment plans.
Brilliant plans.
Brilliant. But when the intention was not to invest, the intention was to sell the estate to another person, and they did.
Okay.
Now, in the laws of Uganda, whether tax, whether what, every investor above a certain threshold, a threshold and above, is given a certain investment.
So, you're right. But what I'm saying is structure.
We can all go to UDB, for example, or in a bank, depending on what you have filed there, and money. The problem is when I get money from UDB, do I actually get the money to invest in what I said I was going to invest in? Do I keep books of account?
Yes.
That the banks require? Bloody note.
So that's what I was saying. That is the problem.
There's no law discriminating.
I didn't say law. I didn't say law.
There's no law. There's no policy. There's even no practice on discrimination.
Okay.
The only issue is, I think Ugandan entrepreneurs, investors, we need to do a little more than just talk about.
So my whole point was that it's a structural thing. If I'm getting loans at 23% and someone gets loans at 5%, I am disadvantaged because I'm going to pay interest that is way higher than theirs. Yeah. Yes. So it's a structural thing. You can talk about the laws and all these things, but laws don't apply in a vacuum. So if the reality hits, and the Ugandan investor who got the land, hoping that the government of Uganda would work and ensure that investors get loans at a favorable rate, but then he realizes, wait, I'm going to get loans at this much, and this Chinese is getting it at this low, and then he decides to sell to the Chinese. It's not because he couldn't do. It's only Powell wasn't even a speculator. The reality hit home.
Continue.
They get their money from. What I'm saying is, you as Ugandans, you must make your home good for the investors who are Ugandans by saying at what rate are banks giving you loans? What is the cause of that? Is it the central rate? Is it this? So how do we work with that? Do we set a special loan for people who are investors who prove A, B, C, D? That is what you're not doing. Instead, you're hoodwinking the world, or PDM, rallies, and all this, and that for me is the problem. Yes, I know. An organization whose account you closed.
A Ugandan investor.
Yeah.
Whose account you closed.
Yes.
So, Mr. Toko, Moses has given you more information that I think is in your favor. He says for a foreign investor to get a tax holiday, he should invest USD dollars, $10 million, while for a Ugandan to invest, you only need $300,000. So you get the same tax holiday. UDB is lending at 12%. There are so many local investors in Namibia and so on. So in your next research, please find me Ugandans that can afford to find $300,000 so that they can
they're not there, that's the problem with the government.
So that they can get a holiday.
Yeah, I'll start.
300,000.
I'll start with the gentleman who earns 20 million.
I'm
per day.
reading from Moses Verhanga. He's saying you need your 300,000.
The gentleman
I'm
who
just
earns 20
thinking
million
of
a day should
how
have that.
many people have
Yeah, that's the
$300,000
point.
to get the tax holiday. Let's stop for a break and then we'll come to you, Benjamin Katana. Well, we'll come back from the break. Benjamin Katana, I put your microphone is not on. We are looking at people here pointing out how rosy it is, and when Toko gives examples, then they are all screaming out. I'm also shocked that there were mangoes at that amount. Yeah. So what captured your attention at Sona?
I think
a number of things. One is that it was a moment for Lydia's boss, not president of Afano Pondo. The boss of Afano Pondo is the elderly who voted for him. Yes, to admit that he has failed to transform the country. He's been talking about no more sleep, an indication that he has been sleeping, because the people of Uganda have not been sleeping. If you go to the countryside, if you go to this town, people wake up very early, they go to work, but the system has undermined their ability to grow from one stage to another. And I will even begin with the community that he has been talking about, of Kazo, Chiruhura. Probably they would be richer, but the most of the money is spent on transporting their children to districts outside their community to study, because there are no good schools in the area. And so they have to take children to the outside the areas to study. So the people that have been sleeping has been the government, the state structure. You have people employed from the parish level to the sub-county, to the district, to the national level, which in local government they normally call the center. They are the ones that have been sleeping. If you go to people wake up at 6, they're at government offices waiting to be attended to. They struggle with the jam, which is also occasioned by the poor planning of the NRM government. They waste time in the jam. They go to offices of these big people. They wait up to 10. These are business people who have woken up so early. They have wasted the time they should have used in doing work. They're waiting at these government agencies. They wait up to midday to be attended to. Even when they're attended to, it's not, they say come tomorrow. And why is this happening repeatedly, continuously, for all these years? Because the people at the helm are more consumed in politics of power as opposed to politics of transforming the communities and the societies. And I want to agree with the concept that leadership is not just about statutory duties. That if you are a chairman LC3, if you are a member of parliament of a constituency, you should be concerned about the mindset of the people you lead. You should be concerned about the performance of the schools in the community you lead. One time a young person came here, appointed another DC, he came to speak to me, he said, what do you think I should focus on? I said, concentrate on social services, engage schools, engage parents, engage teachers, find out why the schools in the community you're leading are not performing well. Where are the gaps? How can they, what interventions from the government, from the parents, and from the teachers? You go to a community and ask, if you ask families the times the child has returned at school to tell them that the member of parliament was at the school, probably it never happens, because most of them don't do that. They think that their job is to go to parliament and speak English and go to talk shows and what have you. Because, yes. So I think while we must focus on the big things, we must also focus on the small things. Engage the people in our respective communities, because you see the country cannot be there only focusing
on the exceptionally successful people who normally represent a very small percentage of the population. The country should also focus on the struggling people. The few examples that were being displayed yesterday, even Amin could have displayed examples of people who were excelling. There were factories of coffee in Masaka run by indigenous people. There were factories of cotton in Bukedi, where O comes from. There were factories in Bugisu, even before Museveni became a president.
And there were no factories in Chigezi.
I think there was an attempt to make one for you. So if we focus on just a few people that have excelled, it will not give us a clear picture. The other aspect that many times people, when you look at the figures and the success stories, and someone pointed out the example of Mudebo, the Manerenda, but in some of these communities of ours, Edgar has ever been banished from Bufumbira. I also don't want to be banished. But you realize that most of these families, individuals that are being focused on as success stories, there is a child running one of some of the government parastatals. There are people in that family getting big deals in surprise, in state enterprises and government ministries. So even their farming as a business is subsidized. People use government vehicles to go to visit the farms. As we have established now, that the people who are working at the farms and the other entities of the former speaker, some of them were being paid at parliament. So it happens. You find the soldiers. Let's use a public example of the head of state. He has people employed. You have seen letters of a person employed as a herdsman by the state. People employed as veterinary doctors at his farms by the state. He drives a government convoy to go and visit his farm. So when he's giving projections of how he's a rich man and has earned money from farming, he doesn't factor in how the state has subsidized his farming, which is the explanation for his excessive profit from the farming. So I think all those are factors that most times are not looked at when we are looking at these glorious examples. My take on how I think we can transform this country is that, because, for example, if you go to Toko here comes from West Nile. If you start maybe from Boyare up to there, you'll find mangoes rotting. But you ask yourself, in all that region, where is the factory that is extracting juice from these mangoes? And if it did, where is the market? And what is the role of the state? And what is the missing role of the state in making sure that this gap does not exist? And I think there was an attempt. There was a factory created in Teso. I don't know how it is faring. Maybe Moses will send that of juice, stage juice.
It's working.
Okay. But the question has been in the community that how has this factory helped us? Because the prices of matoke have remained down.
You don't eat the matoke.
It is value add, it's not that.
It's not that.
Yes, no. Because you see, the factory should be able to provide the market and export the products so that people are able to earn more. I have even abandoned the production of matoke because you invest a lot of money, and at the end of the day, the people come and buy a bunch at 1,000 shillings. No, I'm trying the failure of the state to enable the farmers get their due pay from farming is what is creating the situation. Because you see the detachment of Museveni saying, how can people be going to work in the desert? That's why I said that he was displaying his failure. People are going to the desert because their country has failed them. Their country has failed to create opportunities that would keep them here. The young people in Teso, if there was a factory of juice, maybe some of them would be employed at an orchard, others would be employed at a factory, others would be employed in a distribution, but those opportunities are not there. So the children must go to the desert where there is more transformative leadership that has created the employment opportunities for them to go and earn a living. And some of them are very highly educated people, but there are no opportunities at home. And who is responsible for creating opportunities? The state.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Madam Lydia, Honorable Minister Lydia Wanyoto,
Actually,
recently visited a vetting center. Just take us through, like when you enter a vetting area, what you see, you go seated there, say, most welcome, Honorable Lydia Wanyoto. You know the majority are NRM. Just take us through here. What happens?
First, I received a formal letter, an invitation signed by the Clerk of Parliament to appear before the Appointments Committee. And you are given a date, a day and a date, and then the time. So at my appointed date and the time, I appeared before the Appointments Committee. The Appointments Committee was chaired by the Right Honorable Speaker, but on his side was the Deputy Speaker who did the talking for me, because you appear one at a time. You enter alone as a nominee. I was welcomed, and I think they have the appointed council for the committee, because when I got there, I was ushered into to sit. Then one of the members asked a series of questions. I was invited, then I answered, then I responded. Then earlier on, the clerk had asked us to submit our CV. So they have files. Each one of them had a file on my CV, but I had to go with the original file, original record. One of the members, the counsel to the committee, looked through my papers against what I had submitted on the files. And then I was asked to take leave. That was it.
Right.
Mm.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
No
you.
news coming out saying that you were thrown out. But Edgar, one person was thrown out because of maybe dual citizenship, but 3 others were allowed, and it had been alleged that they also have dual citizenship.
I think the law is very clear. There are certain. Well, first of all, dual citizenship is provided for under our law. It had been left out originally in the 1995 Constitution. Prohibited.
The Constitution gave Parliament power to
You're not an
Who is citizen? Yeah,
those offices
citizens.
that cannot be held
Yes, yeah.
by.
Yes.
I think his point is that
Initially,
1995, yes, except
prohibited amendments. 2000. Yes, exactly. That's what I intended to say. But I did want to be derailed, and the reason for that was really to encourage our diaspora people to acquire Ugandan passports and maybe come back and participate in forging of the nation that we are building called Uganda. Now, I have to give a bit of background to this, in particular in relation to Dr. Muganga. Such a very brilliant middle-aged man. He's 50 years, and I think quite a resource for this country. In 1995, when the Constitution was being drafted, let me start at 1962 Constitution. The 1962 Constitution.
We have limited time.
Yes. I'm going to be quick. But it's very important because it has become extremely explosive. And I'm seeing very responsible statements that are being made by some particular people. And I think I am a naturalized Mutoro, but I descended from Rwanda, from Bufumbira. And as such, I have a bit of knowledge that you don't have, Mr. Fonopondo. So 1962 preserved every person who was resident in Uganda up to 1962 as citizens of the Republic of Uganda. 1995 Constitution reversed it and put it at 1926 February the last date for border adjustment and making of what we now know as Republic of Uganda. Now, the challenge we have in particular in relation to Dr. Muganga, and you shall recall, I did tell you last weekend that President Museveni had audience with us, myself, Mr. Gashumba, Dr. Muganga, and a number of affected Bavandimwe who were unable to obtain passports. There are those who are legitimately left out of the process because it's quite laborious for you to indicate your clan, your place of origin, to whatever contemporary descendants. And for some of them, are quite frankly and honestly ignorant that they were never told of these things when they were growing up, and became upon a number of them who wanted to obtain passports to go to work in the Middle East. There was an elderly man who was born in Kisubi, a practicing Muslim, and has always wanted to perform the hijjah. And at every opportunity he applied for a passport, he was denied. So in that meeting, President Museveni gave us 4.5 hours listening to each one's story, working the phone and putting the speakers on loudspeaker for us to listen. Chikuwawo, Cheyune, Let Kamhanjire. And he got to the bottom of the matter. The Solicitor General was in that meeting. He drafted an opinion which President Museveni, in that very meeting, turned into an executive order, streamlining the process of how persons can obtain what?
Fast forward to the vetting.
So now, unfortunately, I'm also a bit conflicted because my law firm, I've declared my conflict of interest because O'Reilly declares his conflict of interest. So my law firm is representing Dr. Muganga, and there are issues that are strictly legal that ought to be addressed. He made steps towards renouncing his citizenship. Listen to me. Now, and so now, what I find abominable is the finger pointing at the Right Honorable Tayewa, saying that he's a hater of Banyarwanda. Let me make my dad identifies himself as a Mnyarwanda. That Honorable Tayewa nominated him as chairman of the appeals tribunal at Makerere when he was still on the university council. If indeed Tayewa hated Banyarwanda, so they are tribalizing the debate, and I really put it out to people there. Okay. Let us keep it legal.
Yeah.
Let us keep the whatever the debate legal, and let us also permit ourselves to go to court, and it pronounces itself on that. Okay. This tribal talk is extremely irresponsible and very unproductive.
We agree on that one. Benjamin.
Yeah, I will start from where Edgar stopped.
We don't have to refer to only that one because
first of all, that this debate should be on the legal position, not the tribal position. And I think the people who are trying to tribalize the discussion are trying to run away from the legal question. The Constitution of Uganda, we'll just discuss the present, and Article 15.7 gives Parliament mandate to prescribe a list of state offices that cannot be held by individuals who possess dual citizenship. The Parliament of Uganda enacted the Citizenship and Immigration Control Act and clearly prescribes a list which include ministers, include members of the Immigration Board, include the security chiefs and intelligence chiefs as offices that cannot be held by people who possess dual citizenship. And I think that is the crux of what has been happening. Now, there has been the other aspect that needs to come out is that under the laws of Uganda, you cannot have more than 2 citizenships legally. Now, information is emerging that among the ministers designate, there are people who have more than 2, which is itself illegal and unlawful. The other aspect is that if you expire of a passport, for example, that it does not mean that your citizenship has expired, because there are even citizens who don't have passports. The citizenship is distinguishable from passport. Now, and I think if what is emerging from the vetting committee is accurate, I think it is also improper that the vetting committee passed some people because of a promise. Because for you to, there should be proof that you have renounced citizenship of another country and in form of a certificate issued by that country. And there is a process. So if I come to the committee and say I promise to renounce, I have not renounced. So I think it would be inappropriate. And if Parliament, indeed the vetting committee did that, it was inappropriate and wrong. But I think we need to discourage everyone who is involved in this debate not to tribalize this discussion. In Bugisu, there is a member of parliament who is fighting for her seat on questions of citizenship. I think the woman MP for Namisindwa. But I'm glad that the group that side is not tribalizing this. Maybe on another show when we have time, we can discuss that question of Banyarwanda and the issue of citizenship, because there has been a lot of research on that subject.
They are the ones who are tribalizing, by the way.
Yes, in this particular case, because they are trying to find an exit.
Godwin Toko?
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's what has been said is really the reality. That the problem here is that there are questions being put to some of the nominees. They're being asked, do you or do you not have a second citizenship? And their defense seems to be suspect at best. Like, this gentleman is the one who caused the speaker is the one who caused me a problem, the deputy speaker, or going and saying that, oh, how come the other people were approved? And then, of course, ethnicizing the whole issue, which I think, in fact, works against the cause of the Banyarwanda in Uganda. I have friends who are Banyarwanda who have been treated not in the best way, but again, it's not like every Munyarwanda. And for me, the irony here is that people who seem to say that the Banyarwanda have this very big problem, blah, 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 are guys who are known for their impunity, people who are driving numberless cars, people who are guarded by the military, people who shake hands and rub shoulders with the most powerful people in this country. Then they come around and suggest that they are being profiled because of their ethnicity. Hell no, you're not. If someone made a statement and said, if Anacholi said, I'm going to bring the LRA to overthrow the government of Uganda, they would be in jail the next day. But there's a gentleman who's saying, I'm going to bring the M23. And then he's also saying, I'm the victim of ethnic profiling, which I think is very contradictory. Thank you.
And someone here tells me that why is Toko so angry?
No, it's no, that's how I speak. So, I think the anger is the person. For me,
Derek Wandera, we are running out of minutes.
Wandera is Kenyan. I'm just wondering
How we got here.
Yes.
And that's
How we got
that's how we got to having nominees for nominees for cabinet ministers having dual citizenship.
So the president was not briefed.
How? How? So how can the president just appoint someone like OO and yet you don't know nothing about him? I feel the bigger problem, and I've talked about it here, that we run a risk of the president appointing someone who is dead for a ministry.
Semweya is not here, he would say a lot more.
You get? Because how do we get to this conversation that the president, in all his wisdom, nominates people and resource nominates a person who is legally not supposed to be nominated for such a position? And it's not just about the dual citizenship. It has also been seen in the chief whip, government chief whip, who is not MP, but is named. So
or someone who still has a conviction and not done. Is it 8 years?
For me, the question that we're discussing here is just a symptom. Yeah. I think we need to get to the cause.
Emma, Honorable Biara Kubulo, you have 2 minutes as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Yesterday, I was watching very perturbing scenes in Mukono, where my friend, Dr. Muganga, held a press conference, went up to the level of going to the father's grave. Or the mother, it is the father, whatever it is, both of them, and breaking down. I don't know. Okay, let me just inform my brother, Dr. Lawrence, the responsibilities that come under his docket, of which he was nominated for. The responsibilities is going to oversee the Uganda Police Force, is going to see the Uganda Prison Service, Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Authority, and also NIRA.
Member of the National Security Council.
And a member of the National Security Council. And other responsibilities will be to aid in formulating policies on internal security, immigration and border management, and then national identification, among so many others. Now look, you see everything, every step you take, just know that in life it has consequences, repercussions. Yes, he had the energy to go to Canada, to work in Rwanda, to work in Uganda, everywhere across the world, not knowing
and
that.
they've given him success.
Yeah, it has given him success. And as Edgar said, he's a gentleman with very good credentials. But we can't, as Uganda, I think we couldn't trust him with that docket. In fact, as the chronology of the ministry, that internal affairs, I think, Oskar, it should be within the means that we shall be discussing issues internal to us. And I was very surprised.
Thank you.
Let me conclude with that. Edgar emphasized something on, he even went ahead to release an audio where I think they had an interaction with the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. That shows alone that he might, out of emotion, he doesn't have the credibility to keep state information private, state secrets. Therefore, yes. Therefore,
Thank you.
I just want to conclude with this. Some of us,
We are out of time.
some of us, and many MPs from the NRM and outside the NRM, that 529, we were potential candidates to be appointed ministers, and we are representing constituencies, regions. But when we didn't appear, we have not complained anywhere. We are still happy supporting our regime, supporting our government. Why are those who are not having even
maybe
constituencies should really die because you have not been vetted and supported in the
saying all of us eat eggs every day, or does he mean the gang? So you may have redeemed yourself.
Now, because there will be a cabinet reshuffle, you never know, he can be appointed in future. Thank you.
Just quickly, Toko says why PDM, why NADS? That's not a good way. After the Great Depression or during, there was the Marshall Plan, where the US went out giving people, no, not just Europe, but even people within America, money free, do what you can to rebuild America. They went to Europe and gave people money. I think that was Roosevelt, yes, the Marshall Plan. So maybe we have done by the copying, or if we did the copying at a smaller scale, we are not supervising it well. We need to supervise well, but I think this is a good way looking at our country.
We're out of time.
Two,
Moses Verhanga told you that the other gentleman is not beneficiary of PDM. He is earlier.
Not similar to PDM. Then UAE workers, you are voting the president. Yes, our situation will not be able to give all the good jobs. But let us step back. Maybe we need to have this conversation again. If you look at the cost of looking for a job in UAE, on average, is 30 million. Yes, look for visa, bribe or pay these companies that take people, air ticket, those so-called training and so on.
And on the issue of ministerial vetting,
checks and
we
so
will.
No, I'm just want to give this. On average, the least money you spend is about 20 or so million.
It is not correct, but we shall discuss it on another day.
What I'm simply saying is that is colossal on somebody who's saying he has no job.
It's about 6 million. But
no, Oskar. How much is the air ticket? So I think for somebody trained with a good mindset, you can use that 6 million, you can use that 10 million if you are patient. open a kiosk.
So,
I know
thank
people are going to
you.
be rich with this, but you can open
Thank
a
you,
kiosk and you
Honorable.
can make it
Thank
here.
you for listening to Gang today.
No.
Thank
no.
you, Honorable
I just want
Minister.
this thing. The
Yes.
question of the vetting, I think we need to go back
Mm.
and say, when the president posts the list of vetting, could we have time frame, for example, a week, so that the public is given opportunity to provide information on the nominees, on what they know, because now it appears as if the only issue the committee was looking for was dual citizenship. But we have in that nomination people, as you said, convicted or charged. Should they have been passed or not? How were they discharged by the DPP and so on and so forth? So for me, I think it is bigger than just now we are going to Parliament. I don't know what offense the law. I don't know.
Thank you.
The Honorable Speaker told me to have offended the rules of procedure of the House. But I think this is a matter that we are going to raise again in the House, if not tomorrow.
Derek Wandera, thank you so much. Benjamin Katana, thank you so much. Godwin Toko, thank you so much. Former candidate for Deputy Speaker, Honorable Wepukuro, thank you so much. Edgar Tabaro, thank you so much. Honorable Ofonopondo, thank you very much. Honorable Minister Lydia Wanyoto Mutende, thank you so much. Keep on listening. Be careful. Take extra care regarding Ebola. Star Cafe, thank you so much for powering the gang. Schools are open. I'm going to a prom, Edgar. Yes, Rough Cut is next, so stay with Capital Radio. I am Oskar Musoke, and I shall see you next week.